The Looking Out Foundation is everything to me. It's the way I look out for my fellow man.
We have a really broad reach. We want to make music mean more. We think that artists should use their platforms for the causes they believe in, amplifying voices that can't be heard. It's really fan-fueled. $1 of every ticket goes towards the foundation, so anyone that goes to Brandi's concerts have already contributed to our cause.
The Looking Out Foundation is such a monumental part of my life. I mean, I met my wife through activism. My band is founded on it. I discovered Elton John's heart for people living with HIV and AIDS before I ever discovered his music. So in my mind, activism, charity, philanthropy, and music are so intertwined, they're almost inseparable to me. When you have the opportunity for people to listen to you and believe what you say, you have to do some soul searching and make sure that you use that responsibly. And that's, I think, what our whole relationship's founded on. She's been all over the world. She's been everywhere. She's worked in AIDS clinics. She's lived in India alone. She's seen people in extreme poverty and in war zones in situations that I would find debilitating. And that's why we're such a good team, is that I'm really good at solving problems and motivating people, but things like that affect me on too profound a level sometimes for me to see it. And my wife kind of carries that weight of that. And then she passes me the ball and I just run with it. And that's kind of how we approach activism in our home.
The Looking Out Foundation partnered with War Child in light of the refugee crisis a few years ago. We were very troubled by it. I know Brandi was after the birth of our daughters. I had worked with them in the past over in the UK. They target immediate need. They have decades of experience. They were battling that situation long before it was in the public's consciousness. They educate, counsel, and provide food and anything that these displaced children need.
Some of these kids they go into these refugee camps and their average expectancy for them to be there is like 17 years. And what War Child does is they go into places that people are anxious to get out of. And they create safe spaces, play spaces, and education zones. So some of these kids can start their education. When they get out of the refugee camps, they're ready to start their lives, as opposed to having been neglected the whole time that they're there. We raised a lot of money for them, and they were able to open up a sister organization in the US called Children in Conflict. And that is probably one of the things that I'm most proud of.
Yeah, for sure.
In my life.
We've got $1 million fundraising goal for War Child and Children in Conflict, and we're almost there, but there's still a lot of work to do in terms of raising awareness and funding for that campaign. So for the time being, we're focused on that. Addressing
the plight of displaced peoples is the #1 focus of the Looking Out Foundation right now. We feel that those people deserve our empathy and our respect, and they're going to get it from us. I think if there's one thing that I could do for the world in my time here that I think would affect my daughters the most, it would be to increase the level of empathy that people feel for one another, for displaced people, for the lack of representation. The undereducation and oppression of women would be a plight that I feel could really use the world's empathy and America's empathy in a much bigger way. I find myself often concerned about the impression being given to everyday Americans that in order to be an activist, in order to be a philanthropist, or in order to be involved in charity, you have to be rich. It has to be about putting on a tuxedo and raising the paddle. My advice to anyone that's troubled by the state of the world right now is to say a prayer and consider what you can do at whatever level you can do it. Show up, volunteer, get your hands dirty, volunteer at a soup kitchen. Send what you can, and if it's money, good for you, you have money. But if you can put your person in the path of righteousness, then I actually find that more moving.
Yeah, rolling up your sleeves, you know, if you can't afford to donate money or show up to a black tie event, just go and volunteer. I think it's pretty easy to get out there and do the work if you feel motivated to.